Hello, welcome to Rocket Speed Shop. You find me this morning in the shed having a bit of a tidy up. Well, I was supposed to, but I've got onto a bit of tinkering. This is a 12th scale circuit racer and 12th scale stock car. Big bad bumpers on the front, lovely. But anyway, this week we take a look at the race midget. Do a little bit of work. I forgot to film some stuff. It's very sad to spend an hour or so fabricating some parts, then only to realise that you haven't filmed it. Lesson learned. Anyway, over to the workshop, Asgood Engineering, to look at the little midget. Cheers. SW Asgood Engineering Limited. MG Morris Garages. Oh, hello Phil.
Hiya.
Look at that lovely hoodie top, very nice. Merch. Don't forget to pop over to our little store. Okay Phil, this is your race car, yeah?
Well, I say race car, and I've owned it for 11 years. Whilst I have raced midgets in the past, I had 3 Midgets prior to this one, I've only driven this twice around the yard outside.
Oh.
I bought it, as I say, 11 years ago. It didn't have an engine, and there are a few bits and pieces that needed doing to it. About a year after owning it, it came into the workshop. We put in a replacement engine, we replaced the gearbox, the carburettor, gas flow manifold, and we're looking to put it onto the track, and then we noticed a few things that weren't quite right. Unfortunately, life events changed, so it just sort of sat here quite literally gathering dust. And now's the time really to kick the dust off and see if we can get it running again.
Definitely. I'm sure we will. We've worked on a number of midgets and Austin Healey sprites. Which number is this one in this school? So number 4, and with the other ones, where have you raced and rallied?
Well, it started off with a Mark III Austin Healey Sprite, and my father and I, our father, we rallied that in the jog, the Land's End John O'Groats Rally in the 90s. We did a rally at the time called the Scottish 1,000-mile Trail, which, as it says, was in Scotland, and sort of mixed results, but it was quite amusing driving one of these with snow tyres on in the snow. Actually handles quite well.
And at the time that was a white car as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, so there's some
a white car in the snow. Nice.
Yeah, great if you broke down. I mean, then the AA is not going to find you.
Cool.
Not that it broke down too often, to be fair.
And then you raced that car as well?
Yeah, so we would rally it in the winter and then change the suspension and a few other components, take out the interior, and then race it in the summer, which to me, at the time, being a young man in his 20s, not a lot of money, seemed like a good idea. But you had this awful compromise between a very uncomfortable rally car and a not quite quick enough race car. Yep. So after a couple of seasons, I bought an MG Midget, which was a dedicated race car, and had that one for about 10 seasons. Yeah, certainly enjoyed that, and racing all over the country, all the major circuits in the UK. We raced that, and didn't do too bad. I think the best result was we came second in class way back in 2005.
Which circuit was that?
Well, we achieved that at Alton Park, but yeah, that was after a full season.
Cool. Excellent. Right, so with the midget that we've got, obviously over the course of various seasons, rules do change, and you do have to make modifications and updates to safety equipment. And I suppose the bulk of the work has been around, or will be around, safety enhancements under the Blue Book.
Yeah, I mean, this has we'll see it later, but there's a plaque on the bulkhead from an MG car club meeting from 2006. So already that's 20 years ago. So we assume it did compete, 20 years ago. And it doesn't have a plumbed-in fire extinguisher, which are now required. And also the roll cage at the time was bolted directly to the floor, which we can't have, so we need to do some tweaks there.
So on this is the roll bar, sort of the hoop, and then you have legs that go off and go down as well. So we've got to put some plates in on the floor, strengthen that up, and then bolt those back in and give it a lick of paint, make it look nice and tidy. Right, well, shall we lift the bonnet? Because this is obviously not standard, is it?
No, this is a one-piece flip front, which has two benefits. One is it obviously saves a bit of weight because it's all fiberglass, and the other is it provides greater access to the oily bits.
Cool. Right, well, I'll try this one-handed. We'll see what we get to. My ones are already done. Lovely. And this is a fiberglass flip front, yeah?
Yeah. Stiff. There it is.
In all its glory. So, what is the spec of the motor?
So this is a 1380cc A-series engine, so it would have been a 1275 block, which this car would have had, being a 1970 MG Midget, and it's been bored out. The bores are offset so that you can get pistons that size in it. It has an earlier radiator on it because it's got a bigger header tank. The idea is it carries more water. We think that's better. It's got a twin choke Weber carburettor with a gas flowed inlet manifold, gas flowed exhaust,
And a bit of exhaust wrap.
Yep.
Keep temperatures down.
Keep the temperatures down, hopefully. We've got an engine steady bar here.
And we've got the heater matrix in, not for heating though.
No, the heater matrix there is, again, you've got more water and this sort of aids cooling. And then this loops round back into the top of the radiator as well. And this is just sort of basically over experience of years ago of racing and rallying Midgets. And one of the issues with these cars is trying to keep them cool. So to that end, we also have an electric fan, which this wouldn't have had originally.
Yeah. So one of the bits of work that we have done on this, and I hold my hands up, I said all along I was learning, and with YouTube and filming things and recording things, it's always good when you press record, otherwise you don't film things and you stand there talking to a camera looking like a plonker. But so with the new fan that's going to go in, we designed this system up, little plate in CAD, and that's the fan. Fold up to this. Obviously, being Asgard engineer in a sheet metal fabrication business, we're capable of laser cutting out whatever we could have want to draw up. What I did was make some slots and put some little strengthening bars across. So this is made out of 2.5 mil alley, and this will bolt in on the two legs there. It's a bit dark at the moment. Right, one of the other elements which when we got the car, we weren't necessarily, it did the job, but I think Dexian sort of shelving uprights cut into little brackets to hold the bonnet in, they do the job. I suppose it's whatever people have got access to can do things for them. But we designed up, we fitted the trial, which worked very well. Our own bracket. This is 3 mil aluminium, folded up, put some holes in it just to make it look a bit more kind of racy. But that's going to work well, we think, don't we, Phil?
Yep, smart.
I think it's a little bit tidier, a little bit lighter, and what the car deserves. Nice.
I mean, one of the things to say about this car is it's 56 years old. It's had various different owners, and I assume various different people have worked on this car at different stages. Some of the parts have been replaced beautifully, really well, and other bits need a bit of care and attention. So it's sort of trying to bring it up to a good overall standard.
And yeah, just noticed that myself. The plaque. Try and get it in so we can see it as well. Yeah, there's the plaque.
So Alton Park, the 3rd of June, 2006, competitor. Now I assume that this was given to the owner of this car, and they entered that particular event. And obviously we've done some car club events over the years, and we've had those brass plaques and put them on our race cars, but I know very little about the history of this car. So we bought it in 2015 in Cheshire, I believe. It came without an engine. The person I bought it from had used it on a track day, I think, and the engine let go. So then they were sort of moving it on. The other difference was as well, it had a non-original grille. So if you can picture this car, it's got a red hard top, it's all red, nice shiny paint, and it's got a mesh grille, homemade mesh grille. Maybe someone recognises it from back then. It'd be interesting to see a photograph of it competing
Yeah,
from
definitely.
back then as well. I think it ran in a more standard class because with the car it came with a smaller bore exhaust system, and it also had twin SU carburetors, so it wouldn't have been quite as beefy as the engine that's in there now. But yeah, anybody knows anything, drop us a comment or something, and we'd be delighted to hear from you.
Yeah, leave us a comment below if you do recognise the car. If you did take it out on track, whether you were a competitor, whether you owned it, it'd be good to hear some of the history. So yeah, if you could do that, it'd be great. Okay, so let's have a little look inside, Phil.
Yeah, so these are, well, by the definition, midget, there's not a lot of room in these cars, and when you put in a race seat, you have a harness, you have a roll cage, because there'll be more bars in there, store bars as well, and the hard top. It's a bit snug. I'm not massive. I mean, on a good day, I'm probably 5'11" in my shoes. Probably could do with losing a few pounds, but when I sit in this car, all I can do is steer and change gear. I can't actually move much, but then...
Can you breathe?
Well, you do hold your breath sometimes, especially going around the corners. But you don't actually need to move that much because everything falls to hand. One thing I'm going to amend though is the dashboard layout, because I think it's just evolved over the years and it's not too pretty. A lick of paint and perhaps relocation of some of the gauges and switches. Yeah. Well, custom made by Asgood Engineering. We have this bracket here which is going to form a centre console, which I'll show you in just a moment. This will be the electric cutout switch, which is currently on the dashboard. This will be the pull for the fire extinguisher, and here I'm going to put a fuel gauge. Now, these cars used to have a fuel gauge, and they have a combined water temperature and oil pressure gauge. I'm going to put in a separate gauge for water temperature and oil pressure, which it sort of has at the moment, but I'd still like to have a fuel gauge. I think I'm on the romantic notion that I might actually drive this on the road.
Bloody hell.
Whether I do or not, I don't know, but I'd still like to know how much fuel I've got in the car.